afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to give a quick recap of some of the positions I have and what I'm looking at currently of opening new positions in the coming week. Let's start with BLNK. BLNK had a very good week last week. We can see it opened up on, I think, Monday. Monday, Tuesday, it jumped up to 44, kind of fell off, came back down, touched the all these EMA stack, all these EMA moving averages right here. Ultimately consolidated for a couple days, I think on the 7th, which was Wednesday, we got this little inside candle, and then on Thursday, we had this big spike up jump from 41 all the way to 46, and that's what you see back here, where you see all these green little, or all these so let me put it on a better time frame. All these little purple dots represent higher than normal volume. You can see that down here. This is just kind of a tool to show me, what candles are higher volume, and this just kind of other visual representation of it. Any case, we had a strong day on Thursday, popped up. They actually broke out above prior days high of 44. I thought this would closed really strong here, but ultimately sold off the next day on Friday and just chopped around all day. Ended the day in like a 15-minute squeeze. In the grand scheme of things, though, we're looking at this, I'm looking at this longer term. I have some shares here. This squeeze is still intact down here. We got the positive momentum. We're getting a little oversold here, or overbought here, but we still have some smaller time frame squeezes. We got 2-day, 4-day. We got this big weekly squeeze too. We're actually in a daily and weekly squeeze, to be honest. This setup is nice. On Friday, we had a nice inside day. We had some problems at this 44 range right here, which is the 50% retracement. We break that. I'm looking to test this 618 retracement at 49. We break that. We can retest these new highs. Got earnings coming up. The structure looks pretty solid now. We got the 8 back above all the other moving averages. We got this kind of a W-shaped form here. We got the higher low W where it comes down here like this, and then we also looks like a head and shoulders with the neck here, shoulder, neck, shoulder, and theoretically when it breaks this neckline, we'll say right here at the 50% retracement, we could see higher prices, and this one has 30% short interest. So also we hit a little bit. Let me just take a peek at these the cloud too. We can see that on a daily cloud, this line right here acted as resistance. We came up here, kind of failed, came here, failed, and as every time we test this cloud, we kind of failed. We broke through it a little bit here, but now we're still finding resistance around it. If we could break through this cloud, in addition to all these other positive structures going on here, or forming structures really, where this breaks here, we break through the retracement, all this resistance gets taken out, and that high short interest, we could see a nice rally here off the squeeze. This will be a interesting next couple weeks here. In addition, if we look at the weekly time frame, this is looking awesome on every level, in my opinion. We have the green 10x bars, we have to stack the weekly EMAs, we got this close well above last week's high, and look, we're testing right about that 50% retracement, which has been the stubborn resistance point for last week and the week prior, and ultimately when it first broke this 80 EMA trend, that's where it kind of like broke through and just sold off. But anyway, the EMAs are stacked on a weekly basis. This is looking good. If we could retest this and break through 64, we're gonna probably go higher with that short interest, but hopefully the market can hold up and we'll keep on going from there. But I'm holding BLNK. I've been in it for a while. So I'm still down a little bit from where I got in. I never averaged down or anything like that, but I plan on holding it for a few months anyway for a longer term play. I got back here, but ultimately I was looking for a quick play, but the market totally just sold off altogether and took everything with it. So now it turned into a longer term swing for me. But let's see how that goes. FUBO is another one I've been holding for a while. I got it at the same time around with BLNK. I got in back here, and then ultimately the market just took a dive and sold off everything. So this is gonna be a longer term play for me now. That's why I've been primarily getting shares rather than options lately. But so now I'm looking at FUBO had a really strong day on Friday. All these little dots, see all this volume coming in here or down here. They had news that they got what is it? They got a exclusive to host some soccer games or something like that on FUBO. So the price reacted to high short interest, and the volume just came in and pushed it up, hit 25, which is nice. So it looks like it wants to start recovering. I mean, you can see on the daily chart this volume was outrageous. It hasn't seen this type of volume since back in January. So maybe this could spark a little bit of momentum here. We got really oversold this level at the RSI stochastics. Looks like it wants to break through. We got the ready fire signal on the RFA indicator, ready aim fire. So if this one can break above this 21 EMA, you can see it's been following this trend line down, and we found support here at the 20 level, held very nicely. Unfortunately, we got this long wick right here that kind of sellers came in and pushed it down. We could see every time it hit this trend line pushed down, and Friday was no different. We need to break that trend line and hold it in order to retrace higher, in my opinion. Earnings coming up, so maybe if we break this trend line, consolidate, maybe we get a run into earnings. But this is a longer term hold for me. It has a high short interest as well. I'm holding it because I'm looking for one of these type of moves where they come out of nowhere. It kind of consolidates for a while and then just pops out of nowhere. That's what I'm looking for. I got time, no rush here. Shares are cheap. I'm probably gonna add to my position maybe and just buy some cheaper shares so I could average down a little bit. But you got a little positive bullish divergence on the TTM squeeze, where the price is coming down, but every time it makes a new or lower on the stock price, this is actually the actual indicators making higher highs here as far as the momentum goes. So, and theoretically, say we take another dip down, but this is still trending upwards, that means the bullish momentum is kind of looking to turn a little bit, or the bearish momentum is looking to turn a little bit. We'll keep an eye on that into earnings. I'm holding some shares, may add to it depending how the week goes. I'm going to check out the cloud real quick to see where we are. Yeah, so we have a long way to go. So I would see some resistance. Once you break this trend line, we could see some resistance at this cloud in the 35 range. This is going to change ultimately when it breaks, but we have some resistance overhead. But it is short interest, so you can see what type of moves it can do. It could run really fast and drop really fast. So any kind of significant jump, I might take off some shares here and there. But I'm looking for it to retest the 50 level eventually. Once we get some positive momentum and the market holds up overall, because this one has high short interest and they're going to push it up because they're going to need to cover. So I didn't spend too much time on these ones. Next one I was talking about Marvel. Marvel's just been doing its thing. It's a longer term trade for me. Had that nice W shape similar to the overall NASDAQ. So I've been holding on to that one. I have some shares in there. I got it around here, added more down in this area. So I'm waiting for this retest of the 55 range. This is a 5G play. So everything's looking good here. We got the W. Looks like we almost have a cupping handle too here, where it's kind of forming the cup, and then once it breaks this 51 range, maybe we could retest 50. So that's what I'm looking at here. Candles are nice. It went from they're not red anymore, they went to yellow, so the momentum is switching a little bit. Like to see some green. But yeah, this one's looking good. It doesn't have any squeezes anyway on the daily, but it has some longer term time frame squeezes, 4-day, weekly. So keep an eye on that one. Just holding that test 55. Maybe I'll take my position off. Hopefully I'm looking for 60 ultimately. TLRY, this one I thought would rebound a little bit quicker than it did, but it didn't. I got back in around here when we were in a squeeze, and we're at the 34, so I hopped in. I thought that'd be a good spot, just because that's I like to trade. I like to see stocks in a squeeze. This was a slingshot squeeze, which is even more powerful in my opinion. We're at the 34 EMA, and it just failed. So it happens. I'm still holding shares. It looks like it wants to recover a little bit here. We have found support around this 819 to 20 range. Really, we got the ready aim indicator showing. Looks like it might reverse. Hopefully, you see ready aim back here, and then it had that little pop up from 19 to 30, and now we're looking at, ready, aim. Hopefully it could do the same thing, maybe come up and test this point of control up here. I think that's a stale number, but in any case, that's what I'm looking for here. Just holding out shares in this. I'm no rush, just cannabis play. So keep an eye on this, but similar to like FUBO and everything, I'm looking for another high short interest stock. So I'm looking for these type runs where they go from, choppy, and just have these runs up, and that's where you want to cash out when you hit these nice runs. I'm patient with these. I know I'll have a lot of high short interest stocks, but they're more volatile. You can you get killed easy, or you could make a quick buck. But that's why I'm liking the shares rather than options, because you never know what's going to happen. Timing is everything. So if you have shares, I feel a little bit more comfortable holding. They do have a merger coming up, TLRY, with another ticker, I think TLRY or something. But I'm watching this, because then if they do go through with the merger, they'll be like the biggest cannabis, one of the biggest cannabis players in the market, but not in the U.S. market, Canada and overseas. In any case, one more I'm in right now, or two more I'm in. SI, it's tied to crypto. I got in this last week when it was trading at the, I'll say, it was in its first run of squeeze. It was a 21 EMA, so I bought a butterfly at 150, 165, 170 butterfly, I believe, for expiration this week, upcoming Friday. We're on a squeeze. We got earnings coming up. If it closes anywhere between, let me see, anywhere between 50 and higher, I'll make profit on it. But my max profit is like $3,000 if it closes at 65 on Friday, but I probably won't hold it that long. We'll see how the market trades. It's really tied to Bitcoin, so hopefully Bitcoin can hold up. But we are in a nice little squeeze here, and this structure is awesome. We had the W here and kind of made that higher low. Looking to retest these highs, so keep an eye on that. If it dips back down, maybe that would be a good entry point at the 21. But hopefully, I'm looking for a run. I hopped in Tesla last week just because I feel like it's one of the laggers of the FANG stocks. We got this partial W similar to the NASDAQ. Only the NASDAQ blew through and is retesting highs, where Tesla is kind of, it has a half W. It's kind of stalling out here, kind of consolidating a little bit. We're in a squeeze. We can see that momentum looks like it wants to shift positive here. We got earnings coming up. What I did, I just bought, a lotto play. I bought an 800 call for the earnings series. I probably won't hold till earnings unless, it doesn't move much, or I might sell out and just kind of push it out further. Just a lotto play for me, just to see if we can get any run into earnings, because it has been a lagger, and it looks like it has similar type W pattern that it could, once it breaks this 715, 707 level, I think we could shoot higher, and hopefully it does that before earnings. That's what I'm looking at here. The squeeze could fire along before earnings and see what happens, and make some money on the options. Disney is something I hopped in last week. It's one of my favorites for April, mainly because of this setup. So we have this kind of, it was in a squeeze. It kind of came down, looked almost like a slingshot squeeze, but we're trying to work back into a squeeze a little bit here. We have a 2-day squeeze, but on a daily chart it's not, but it looks like it's wanting to pop. You have some nice wicks over here. I'll make this a little bigger, where you're holding the 50-day really well here. You held the 50-day back here. It's acting as support. So theory is it's one of the laggers too. But if you look at the cloud, which I started implementing in my trading, we come back to this last run. Look what happened here. This cloud held the support at the 50, and then we ran up into earnings. What are we doing now? This cloud held at support, holding resistance, holding support at the 50 EMA on this chart. We have earnings coming up. This is the move I'm looking for. We're very, very similar. You can look at this section. So let me, so this whole section right here, I can't go down, but right there, literally the squeeze is here. Same thing here. If you look at this, these two sections are identical. We have support at the cloud, support at the cloud. We have a slingshot squeeze forming, and we have support at the 50 and the 50. The only difference is, well, I don't say the only difference, but these candles are indicating that, you know, momentum's starting to shift. Here it just kind of took off. So this is kind of lagging behind a little bit the whole market, because the market has started to take off already, but this one's kind of trading sideways and consolidating a little bit more. But I think this is a good chance for running into earnings. You can see this pop into earnings before earnings here. We had this other one, and now I'm looking for it to do the same, maybe test 200 before earnings and before. So I bought the 180 calls in the May, and earnings are a bit out. They're about a month away, but I bought the May 21 the May monthly 180 calls, mainly because, you know, the 50 day is holding, it's about 185, so hopefully that holds support, and then, you know, my options are 180 calls. So if it does pull back, I'll lose some of that premium, but hopefully it could recover a little quickly if it breaks to the upside. But looking ultimately for the break 190. Once we break this 190 level, I think we retest 200 and higher. But let's see if we get one of these type moves where, we just shoot up right before earnings. That's what I'm looking for. Not a big trade, a couple of calls that I just wanted to look for one of these explosive moves. Hopefully the market holds up. Any case, last Sunday, I posted a video talking about 4 tickers that I like in April. This was one of them. This one is the only one that didn't really move. We had Apple that, last Sunday when I was on giving my video, I was looking to get into this, and it just took off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, never looked back. I was not able to get in there, and I wasn't chasing. That took off. Pins was another one. I'm not sure it's on my list here. It might have fell off, but pins. So pins, same thing. It kind of got away from me. I was hoping for a pullback Monday. It never got there, and it just kept going. So I was hoping for, this was, I think, Friday, 4-1, not 4-2. So this was Thursday and Friday of the prior week before I put the video up. I was hoping we get a pullback to the 8 or 21, but it just kept running. So, I'm not going to chase this here. If it pulls back, anywhere to 21 EMA, I might hop in before earnings. Might be a good opportunity to get in there. SBUX, let's type it in. SBUX, same thing last week. I wanted to get in, around here on the 80 EMA, at 21 EMA if it pulled back, but, Monday, everything last week just took off, so I'm not going to chase these things. This one had a run, but, for SBUX, this is more of a consistent kind of, fade up rather than just shooting up, so I'm kind of not going to chase any of those at all, but that's what I'm looking at. We also have banks earnings coming up. What I'm looking at this week to kind of maybe play some earnings, looking at JPM. I think maybe Monday or Tuesday this week, I'm gonna look to do some butterflies into earnings. Maybe buy a 160, maybe buy was it 155? Maybe buy 160, 165, 170 butterfly, something $100. Maybe 2 or 3 contracts, and then flip one out if it goes up, and then have a free trade into earnings and see what happens there. I love this structure here. It's very bullish. It's an explosive structure. We break this, we're going to shoot higher, especially with earnings. We have this squeeze, this long squeeze going on here, slingshot squeeze. So this could be very explosive. We got the ready fire signal coming down here. So I'm looking at that. Hopefully, it could kind of pull back just a tad before earnings, so it gives a better price point, but we'll see. Next, I'm thinking Goldman Sachs. I want to look at this one. Has a nice little sweet setup too. We can see that, back here, we ran up before earnings, kind of sold off after earnings, but we came back, tested the 34, had this big run up. Now we're holding support at this 34 level again before earnings. So I think this 34 level, if you want to play a small run into earnings, just like, hopefully we get the 2 or 3 day run into earnings, similar to here where, we started off a couple days before earnings and just popped up all day. Maybe we get that similar thing into earnings. I won't hold through earnings, but just see if we get a 2 or 3 day move into earnings. Looking like similar with the little squeeze forming here, slingshot. We got the ready fire signal earnings. I'm looking to maybe do a butterfly too, or just maybe deep in the money call, just see if we get that little pop up. But if we break 350, we can go much higher. I think so. Break 350. Let's see some targets. 350. Could possibly see 357 to break 382. But you know, earnings is going to decide that. I'm just looking before earnings how to play it. It looks like it wants to pop into earnings, similar to how it done back here, so it usually runs into earnings. So I should have probably got in last week, but the market was so extended on Friday. I mean, everything just went bonkers, especially in the close. So I'm not touching anything. I want to, reset over the weekend and see how it opens. Maybe Monday we get a little dip in the morning and then it kind of recovers. Yeah, that's my opportunity to get something cheap. But we'll keep an eye on these. These are the ones I'm looking at for this week. Happy trading, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Any questions, please post in the link. Take care. Bye.